she was about 5 years old. She was a very imaginative child. That's what her grandmother would call her, at least, whenever AJ would start telling her stories. They weren't so much stories as they were moments. Very descriptive moments in time that AJ would randomly begin sharing. Like the one about her getting stuck in a tree. She described how she clawed her way up with all four limbs like a cat, and how she could hear people yelling her name down below. She could describe in detail all of the houses on the block, and how they looked in a blur as she fell towards the ground. She had another story where she was swimming in the Pacific Ocean, a place she had never been, and yet she could remember all of the buildings that lined the shore, how the water felt, how the pier looked from the ocean, and how peaceful everything was underneath the water. Now, how can you say these things when you've never been to the Pacific Ocean? Her grandmother asked her one day. I have, Grandma, AJ replied. She pointed to her head. In here. Suddenly it clicked. Her grandma realized that AJ may not actually be making any of these experiences up, but instead recalling past lives. This is a very real phenomenon among young children. They recall memories that they couldn't possibly have experienced themselves. Like one case with a little boy in Oklahoma. He would constantly yell, "Action!" as if directing a movie. He'd have dreams where his heart exploded while he was living in Hollywood. He talked about owning a big house with a swimming pool. His mother ended up borrowing a bunch of old books about the history of Hollywood to see if she could jog her son's past life memory. And sure enough, he pointed to a man in a photo, an actor named George Raft, and claimed that was him. His mother tracked down the man's daughter, who was able to confirm all of the boy's experiences to be true. AJ's grandmother had known about this phenomenon and was pleasantly surprised to know that her granddaughter had the gift. The only thing that didn't exactly add up was how inconsistent her stories were. Sometimes she was a man, sometimes she was a young girl, sometimes she wasn't a human at all. AJ's grandmother then came to the conclusion that she might be remembering the past lives of other people. AJ's grandmother never discouraged her from sharing experiences when they came to her. She actually enjoyed them, and she was sad to see AJ go when she moved to the United States to be with her mother, Monica. Her grandmother traveled with her and, upon arrival, told Monica about her daughter's special gift. But Monica didn't believe her. She's a kid, Mom, Monica said. She's making stuff up because new. After moving to New Jersey, AJ didn't share as many experiences as she used to. Maybe it was because she was 5 now, and studies have shown that that's the average age when children stop recalling past memories. Many believe it's because that's when children start to develop memories of their current lives. Or maybe AJ was really hamming it up for her grandma. Whatever the reason, AJ wasn't as imaginative as she used to be. For about a couple of months, at least. Monica had a really close friend named Kim. They had been friends for a very long time, and AJ thought of her as the older sister she never had. Kim would often babysit AJ while Monica was at work. One day, Kim and AJ were feeding ducks at the nearby park. Out of nowhere, AJ started crying. What's wrong, sweetie? He burned you. What? Who did? Tracy. It was Tracy. He was angry you left him. He spit on you and threw gas at you. He held you down and put a lighter to your face. You screamed as you melted. Kim's face turned from worry into anger. Do you think this is funny? Are you trying to scare me? Why would you say such horrible things? I'm sorry. Kim immediately took AJ home after that. When Monica came home from work, Kim told her about the upsetting things her daughter had told her. Oh, AJ, Monica sighed. I thought you were done with these stories. I was just telling her what I saw. Kim had moved to another state shortly after. It wasn't until 5 years later that AJ saw her again. It was Christmas, and Kim arrived with a ton of gifts for AJ. They had both forgotten about the awkward incident at the park, and everything felt just as it was before. AJ happily fiddled with her light bright in the living room while Kim and Monica were catching up in the kitchen. She overheard that Kim had been living in Tennessee with this guy she met, Tracy. Wait, why did that sound so familiar? AJ's ears perked up, and she scooted closer to the kitchen to eavesdrop. The next morning, Monica texted Kim to make sure she was okay. "Everything's great. Thanks again for being there for me," read a text from Kim. A week had passed, and Monica hadn't heard from Kim again. She thought maybe she worked everything out with her boyfriend, or maybe she'd found a new place of her own. Monica and AJ were eating breakfast. Monica was scrolling through her Facebook newsfeed. She almost choked on her food. "I don't believe it. Kim was dead." "How did she die?" AJ asked. "She was burned." Wait. All of this sounded familiar. Why did this sound familiar? Monica thought about what Kim had told her 5 years ago. She thought about what her mother had told her about AJ's ability to see past lives. She was starting to think that maybe it wasn't the past she was seeing. Monica stared at her daughter, who burst into tears. "I tried to warn her, Mom." And now, for something scary. Alright, you guys ready for the next one? This one is actually from a no sleep. Let me know if you've heard this one before. This is one of my favorite no sleeps I've ever read. It's called A Campfire Story. And it was written by username Vital Duel. For a number of years, I was a camp counselor at an overnight camp in the Muskokas. I loved it more than any job I've ever had, despite the non-existent pay, annoying campers, long days and short nights, crappy food, etc. For one, I got to tell as many scary stories as I could sputter out. There was nothing better than hanging around a dying campfire with a bunch of junior high kids who were demanding the scariest, most blood-curdling tales I knew. And I told them all. The babysitter and the eerie clown statue, the driver and the creepy gas attendant, the woman and her licking dog. I saved my best stories for the overnight trips we made in Algonquin Park. For non-Canadians, it's a massive park in the middle of Ontario, spanning nearly 8,000 square kilometers, when days would be spent canoeing on pristine lakes and nights would be spent around the fire, singing and making s'mores and being as rowdy as the only people within miles. Once the kids had quieted down, I told them stories of a stalker in the woods with a face so horrifying it paralyzed all of its victims in fear. Or the group of campers who decided to spend the night across the lake from an abandoned insane asylum. On this particular night, I'd finished up the tales, once again insisting that they were entirely true, and sent the campers to their tents. It had been an exhausting day, and none of the 6 kids were in any mood to stay up later. My fellow counselor had also decided to pack it in, leaving just me on a fallen log next to the dying fire. I took a deep breath of the cool, fresh pine-scented air and looked out at the lake. The partial moon reflected off the glassy water, and on the other side I could see towering cliffs going up several hundred feet. I considered whether we could canoe over, climb up a few dozen feet, and do some cliff jumping. I grinned. The camp director would have my head if we did that, if he could find out. Movement at the very top of the cliffs caught my eye. There was a small light bobbing along the peak. At first, I thought it was a star, but it was larger and gave off a golden glow. It slowly moved back and forth in a small arc. As I sat up and watched it, another appeared next to it, bobbing along the top of the cliff. Then another, and another. A few more. My stomach dropped into my feet. I grabbed my bag and pulled my digital camera out, then focused it on little glowing orbs and used the zoom function. I counted again. flash, I was up and running to the tents. Hey guys, wake up, we gotta go. There was movement in the tents, and then I had 7 confused heads looking out at me. My co-counselor wore a mixture of concern and pure anger. I hate to do this, I continued, but the clouds are looking really threatening. There's a big rainstorm coming in. If we get caught in it, it's gonna ruin our trip. Seriously? Laura, my co-counselor, asked. We're in the middle of the woods. Where would we go? I pulled a map and flashlight out of my bag. There's a ranger station a few kilometers south of us. I traced the path with my finger. Thank God. We can make it there in a few hours. The campers groaned. Can't we just go in the morning? No, I shouted, my voice echoing across the lake. I lowered it. Come on, let's get packed up and go. I'll tell you a story along the way. I smiled, though I could feel my lips quivering. It's my best one. That seemed to get them going, and within 10 minutes the tents were packed up and we'd begun our trek into the deep woods, with small flashlights our only guide. When I was confident we were moving at a steady pace, I allowed myself to relax and began to tell my favorite campfire story. Centuries before the European settlers made their way into the country, it was inhabited by the First Nations people. They had made the trip from across Western Canada, following the migration patterns of large animals such as buffalo and bison. Eventually, they reached Ontario, at which point they split off into smaller groups of travelers, each searching for a section of